Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Now, exam results for NEET 2021 are expected to be out soon. NEET, that is the National Eligibility cum Entrance Test, as we know, is the mandatory entrance exam for admissions into medical colleges across the country. But over the past few days, at least 3 students have allegedly died by suicide in Tamil Nadu, blaming their bad performance in NEET. This is, of course, what has been alleged. And this isn't the first of such instances. NEET has in fact always been a contentious issue in Tamil Nadu, and there have been protests against this entrance exam over the past few years. Now, citing all of these factors, Tamil Nadu's Chief Minister is trying to permanently exempt Tamil Nadu students from appearing for NEET, and for this purpose the State Assembly has actually passed a bill. But this story isn't as simple. It involves the need for a presidential nod and the possibility of the Parliament still nullifying the law. So in today's KYC episode, I'll explain to you how Tamil Nadu can save its students from NEET, if at all. Now let's first understand how the constitution figures into this entire debate. I've told you before how the 7th schedule of the constitution segregates the lawmaking power of the centre and states into 3 lists: the union list, the state list and the concurrent list. According to Article 246, the central government has exclusive powers to make laws on the subjects in the union list, while the state government can make laws in the subjects in the state list. And as for the third list, that is the concurrent list, both central and state governments can enact laws on the subjects that are listed under it. What happens if there's a conflict between the 2 laws, the central laws and the state laws? Now, Article 254 holds the answer for this. It says that if there is such a conflict, the central law will override the state law. But if a state really does want to bypass this rule and make a law of its own, even if there's a central law on the same subject under list 3, Article 254 subclause 2 provides a way out. It says that if there's a central law and a state law on the same concurrent list subject, and if they have conflicting provisions, then the state would have to get the president's approval for the law. But there's another catch. This provision also says that even after the president's approval, the central government can still pass another law on the same subject or pass any law to amend or even repeal or invalidate the state law despite the presidential nod to such a law. So this is all the law that you basically need to know to understand this controversy. Now the issue here is that medical education is actually a part of the concurrent list under entry 25 of list 3 of the 7th schedule. But let me tell you that this wasn't always the case. Time for a little trivia. Education was actually originally a state subject, but it was moved to the concurrent list through the amendment that people often talk about. This is the one which was passed during the emergency imposed by then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. This was the same amendment that added fundamental duties to the constitution as well as the words socialist, secular to the constitution's preamble. So through this amendment is when education was shifted from the state list to concurrent list. Now getting back to the Tamil Nadu law, while introducing the bill, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister actually referred to this entry asserting that the state government can in fact make such a law, exempting its students from NEET. But what this essentially means is, now relating it to the constitution bit that I told you about at the beginning of this video, what this essentially means is that since this falls in the concurrent list, Article 254 subclause 2 would require presidential assent approval for the law, and even after this the Parliament can still pass a law to amend or repeal or invalidate this Tamil Nadu law. Now there's another catch as well. Currently, medical education is statutorily regulated by a central law, which is the National Medical Commission Act 2019. Before this, there was the Indian Medical Council Act 1956, but this 2019 law replaced and repealed the 1956 Act. Now, this central law can actually be traced back to list 1, that is the union list, and not the concurrent list. Entry 66 of list 1 includes coordination and determination of standards in institutions for higher education. You can see the entire entry on your screens right now. So this entry could still be cited by the central government to assert that states in fact do not have the power at all, not even under the concurrent list, to make such a law excluding themselves from NEET, since NEET can be traced back to the union list and not the concurrent list. Also, at the end, just to give you a bit of a background, a background of the Tamil Nadu bill. This bill, it's actually called the Tamil Nadu Admission to Undergraduate Medical Degree Courses Bill. It draws inspiration from this committee that was constituted by the state government in June this year. This committee was headed by a retired judge, Justice A.K. Ranjan, and was also an important development because abolishing NEET was actually one of the electoral promises of the DMK. So this committee was to study the socio-economic impact of NEET on the students in the state. Now the bill's statement of objects and reasons actually claims that this committee found that NEET unfavorably favors the affluent sections of the society while thwarting the dreams of underprivileged social groups. According to the bill, those most affected by NEET are students of the Tamil medium government school with a rural background, those having parental income of less than 2.5 lakh rupees per annum, and the socially depressed and disadvantaged groups such as most backward classes, SCs and STs. As to what happens to this bill, if history is anything to go by, the bill becoming a law looks a little difficult. In fact, back in 2017 as well, the AIA-DMK government had made a similar attempt to exclude state students from NEET. It had sent 2 such bills for presidential nod, but the Madras High Court was told in 2019 that these bills had been rejected by the president. But of course, we'll have to wait and see if this bill meets a similar fate. This is Apoorva Mandhani for ThePrint. For more such videos, do subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.